People are saying IshowSpeed is a secret Pan-Africanist. Is he really a secret Pan-Africanist? What is behind it? We will investigate that in this video.
IShowSpeed might be the most influential Pan-Africanist alive today because not only did he go to almost every country in Africa so far and actually humanize like the people and the cultures there, but when he went to Egypt, he asked the most important question you could possibly ask, which is, why is the Sphinx missing its nose? I feel like that's one of them questions that can get you on like the craziest rabbit hole by just looking up the answer to that question. When I was in middle school, I was listening to Tupac and he had a lyric about Malcolm X and I didn't know who that was, so I looked up who is Malcolm X. So I went on the craziest like rabbit hole to this day about the Black Panther Party, the civil rights movement, like what America did to black people. That basic question that Speed asked, why is the Sphinx missing its nose? That is gonna send so many people to go look up like, yo, actually, why is the Sphinx missing the nose? And people are gonna say lots of statues are missing noses. It has nothing to do with any particular feature. Even if it didn't, it still ties into the overall theme of the de-Africanization, the erasing of blackness when it comes to ancient Egypt civilization or the ancient world in general. Obviously, Speed knew what he was doing when he asked that question. So that is like, I commend him for that. And that's why he might be like the most influential Pan-Africanist alive today.
I disagree with this opinion right here. Because, he might be Pan-Africanist, but the point is that, Africa is not only black, okay? Like sub-Saharan Africa, most of Africa is black, of course, but North Africans are not black. So there is a difference. It's not because they are not natives. Of course, they are Arabized. They don't have their ancient roots, but it doesn't mean ancient North Africans were black too. So that's the point, okay? Like, being Pan-Africanist is, uniting Africa. Whether there is a difference in skin color and stuff. Like I'm, for example, sub-Saharan African. Doesn't mean I have to hate North Africans and stuff. You understand me? Okay, I'm Black African. I don't have to hate other Africans. Okay, that's the point. Pan-Africanism is, having, like, being one without the difference in skin color. Okay, like just because their nose is missing, like the Egyptian pharaohs, like ancient Egyptian pharaohs. It doesn't mean they were black. It doesn't mean they removed their nose because they were racist and stuff. That's not necessarily what it means. Okay? That might be the case, but we don't know. If we don't know, we cannot assume such kind of things. The point is, the pharaohs had multiple ethnic backgrounds. Okay, like the 25th dynasty were black, and some of them came from Canaan, the Middle East, the Levant. Some of them came from Kush, present-day Sudan. So they had different ethnic backgrounds, but most of them were not black. Okay, like the natives were not black. Like they differentiate their skin color. They depict the Middle Eastern ones as white, their south as red, and the Nubians, like south of them, as black. So we have to understand this. We shall not put our imaginations to history and stuff. He's just asking. IshowSpeed was asking there, so we need some history lesson right there. Okay, we shall not claim everything. We have a lot of things, so we have to understand that.
Speed was in Egypt looking at the statues of the pharaohs, and he asked that young lady why was the nose on it broken. And her answers, they were peculiar in my opinion, to say the least, right? Because her answer was that it was erosion and something to do with, like, I guess mating or some shit. I don't remember what her second answer was, but erosion was the one that caught my attention. White European settlers tried to take credit for the Egyptian libraries and statues and pyramids. White European settlers quite literally have tried to steal all African culture literature, and whatever else you can name under the fucking sun, from the credit for the shit to the actual statues. So they would smash the noses in to further represent their noses. The statues were smashed out of racism. Simply because you can look at plenty statues that exist today and they're not at all eroded. Now, granted, some were made of different compounds maybe, and erosion is probably accurate for very few of those statues, but overall, racism is why the Egyptian statues' noses were broken. Because white people are so insecure about their place in history that they lie about every single part of it.
I'm not new to this kind of thing. I'm Ethiopian myself, so in Ethiopia there are people who claim that ancient Egypt was Ethiopian civilization, because the Kush, like 25th dynasty from present-day Sudan, not present-day Ethiopia, they conquered Egypt and they formed an empire. So they were black pharaohs and stuff. So Kush was translated to Ethiopia in Greek if you read the Bible and stuff. The word Ethiopia was Kush, and that was translated to Ethiopia and stuff. Claiming and stuff. So the point is that it's not the colonial idea is that sub-Saharan Africa doesn't have history. Okay, so those who accept such kind of idea, they are the ones who, those who claim Egypt is all black history, are those who accept sub-Saharan Africa doesn't have history. That's the problem right there. They accept that, so they want to claim Egypt. Otherwise, they will claim their own history. Okay, we have our own history, like Ethiopia have history, like Sudan have history, Kenya, Uganda, and other parts of Africa also have history. But they don't claim their own. They want to claim others' history because they are insecure about their history, because they hear from the colonialists. So it's not the colonialist agenda that North Africa is not black. The colonialist agenda is you don't have history. So in order to have source of identity, you claim the history of others. That's very wrong, I believe. So many people don't want to understand this, but that's the reality. I understand it. But I'm not saying the colonialist, white colonialists, some of them, not all of them, have such kind of ideology, we build everything and stuff. But we have to understand the nuance of history. So that's what I can say.
Patriots, this just in, there has been an awakening. IShowSpeed has been in Egypt. He's the first live streamer to ever go into the pyramids. It's intense. And the expressions from the Black American community here on TikTok and online is overwhelming, because he's going into these museums and he asks a question. He said, why are all the noses missing? Why are the noses missing from all of the Egyptian statues, or a lot of them? And he asked the woman that, and she says, oh, it's because that's that's where it was the weakest part. Then no. The truth is because Black Americans come from kings and queens and royalty. And they were brought here through slavery, had their names and history stolen from them. And people are literally crying online hearing this. And this is kind of something I've kind of known, for a little bit, but it's interesting how when something hits you, it almost reminds me of Juneteenth, how people were free from slavery, but they didn't know. And it was once they got the word was Juneteenth. And it almost feels like this is a liberation for Black Americans to realize that some people are saying the American dream they've been sold is BS. That your lineage, your roots are greatness of kings and queens and royalty, and Lord knows in Egypt, the technology that we have no idea about That's Black culture. That's Black American culture. That's African culture. A lot of people are saying, I had no clue. They thought Africa was just poor and, kids sitting around with flies on their, belly and stuff. No, it's beautiful. It's prosperous. It's like Wakanda. But they've just been hiding it from you. So I think there's a beautiful day of awakening. Hey, it's like Juneteenth all over. Wishing everybody well. IShowSpeed, beautiful work. Beautiful work. It's about awakening people and letting them know their true potential. Secret Service Sam Out Sampson for president of TikTok.
I think what he said right there was out of sarcasm. I don't know whether it's out of sarcasm or out of truth. I don't know. But the reality is that Black Americans didn't came from Northern Africa. They came from Western and Central Africa. Okay, that's where their lineage originated. That's where they originated mostly, not from Egypt or North Africa or stuff. Okay, they were kings and queens. Well, they can be kings and queens in West Africa, like there were many civilizations in West Africa, like Benin. There was Benin, there was Mali Empire, okay, there was Congo Kingdom, the Congolese Kingdom and stuff. So it doesn't have to be ancient Egypt, okay? Like many historians romanticize, ancient Egypt. None of Africa, they romanticize, like they love ancient Egypt. There is a study of ancient Egypt called Egyptology and stuff. So that's the reason why people want to claim ancient Egypt. Okay, whether white or black or Middle Eastern or any group, there are a lot of people who want to claim ancient Egypt. But the reality is ancient Egypt belonged to natives of Egypt. Okay, West Africa belonged to natives of West Africa. Okay, North Africa, like Nigeria, Benin, Congo and stuff. Their lineage come from there, not elsewhere. So I don't understand why you don't love your own history. Like why people want to claim, not all, I'm not talking about all Black Americans. I'm talking about Black Americans who claim ancient Egypt. That's my point, okay? So why don't you claim your own history? Like, I don't understand it. That's my point. So anyways, that's what I can say. Just because historians love ancient Egypt so much, you don't have to claim that. Okay, there are other parts of Africa who have long history. So that's what I can say. Anyways, that's it for now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Write down your comments. Till next time, peace and blessings. Goodbye.